that's usually how it goes. Love has and has not walked into the door today on the Yeah Come On show, brought to you by Oxygen Financial in Alpharetta and Buckhead. Go give Ted Jenkins your money, because that's what Southside does. I don't, because I don't have money. And if you listen to the show, you've probably already heard that before. So let's just get right to the point. Steve is dealing with a little family thing and illness, taking care of everybody. He couldn't make it today. That's why I said love has and has not walked into the door. But we do have our guest here with us today. We will get to him here in a minute. And before that, Tyler Maynard, our on-again, off-again producer extraordinaire, is here.
I am here.
Which I'm actually kind of glad Steve didn't come, because I know if he's around a sick kid and a sick wife, he's going to get sick, and then all of us would be screwed.
Just bring it in the small room.
Yeah, that would be perfect.
Yeah, just what I need.
But don't worry, and we'll get through this.
I will shit myself for this show.
Apparently he won't today. Mm-hmm. It's pathetic. I'm disappointed in him. And when you hear this, you can feel free to let him know. I'm going to check in with the come-oners, as usual, and we can start right here with Steve's nemesis. He wrote, Southside Steve is a shitty-ass person. Hope the divorce/death is soon. Jeez. Which it may be. He doesn't deserve a fraction of the life he's been given. Brett is cool by me now. He's still a talentless fat ass, but at least he's not Southside Steve. I don't know much. I don't know how much that stupid MFer looks himself in the mirror. Maynard is still a limp-wristed liberal piece of shit. Okay. But I do enjoy his input. His mother should be proud. Cue Southside Steve. And then I think he goes on to talk about how he wants a hat. So we won't get much more into that. We will get into the hat thing, but I'm going to have our guest help me talk about that and give those away coming up.
Is that same guy still commenting?
Yeah, it's the Divorce 2020 guy. I don't know why. Actually, I do know why, because he's actually hilarious.
Oh, is he?
I love when people destroy us on anything. You can follow us at the Yeah Come On Show, Twitter and Instagram, and that's where everybody hit us up for hats. I will say this about Steve. Do you think that this is what the show will end up being like, say, 12, 24 months from now? Everybody says he's not going to see his kid go to college. I think he's not going to see his kid graduate kindergarten at this point.
Whew, that is dark.
It's not that dark. It's probably realistic.
It is, yeah. He chugs that Woodford pretty hard.
Yeah, he does. So I'm going to be drinking double for everybody today.
Oof, man, yeah, that's a heater.
All right, I'm going to give you guys one more. And this one's from D. Mackey. Old bitch tits Barney giving away hats. Southside Steve isn't saving money for his kid's college. Doesn't matter, as we just said. I've heard more compelling arguments from homeless dudes panhandling for pints of Mad Dog 2020. But, for real, hook a brother up with a hat. Do you think that guy should get one?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, no, we're going to draw it completely different. I don't know. Let's get right into the show so I don't have to fly solo and you don't have to sit over there, because we're actually having some great conversation before we got this all started. Today's guest, do we have the music? Cue the music.
We'll
Cue it. Today's guest is a local... Oh, wait.
There we go.
Oh, wait. Am I prematurely starting?
Yeah, my iTunes is freaking out. Hold on. There we go.
I'll let it build up a little bit, I guess.
Why not?
Yeah, if we can't play our opening song, we're probably not allowed to play this.
No,
oh, well.
Probably not. It's okay.
Today's guest is a local comedian coming straight out of Marietta. He's the host of Show Up, Go Up comedy night at the Earl and Rachel Smith Strand Theater. Great place to check out. I've been there a couple times. As well as the host of their big upcoming Pranksgiving. We'll get more into that. You can also catch him performing in bars all around Marietta Square. And he may look like someone you know. Ladies and gentlemen, but mostly the ladies. Give a big round of applause for Nickelbag Rik Wayne.
Thank you.
Thank you, first off, for coming on the show today.
Absolutely,
I'm sorry
man.
Southside couldn't make it. I know that it was your lifelong goal and dream to hang out with another man with hair just like yours.
Well, I'm glad I get to steal his spotlight for once,
I'm sure he's glad, too. I wanted to ask you, so first off, you host, Show Up, Go Up, the comedy night at the Strand Theater. What is it? When is it? Because I saw on the schedule it's like Wednesday, Thursday sometimes. Thursday.
Every Wednesday night. It's at the Earl and Rachel Smith Strand Theater in the Lumiere Lounge, the second floor. It's every Wednesday, 7 to 11. It's a free show. 21 and up. I have usually a line of people out the door every Wednesday just to sign up. I generally weekly have about 35 people who will sign up. I have a featured comic each week, and I have 4 residents for 2 months out of the year. I have, January, February, and so on and so forth. 4 different resident comics. They get to come up, go up whenever they want, do the same amount of time. They just get a speed pass. And drink specials, and I've been doing it for, yeah, man, it's great. I've been doing it for like fixing to hit my 5th year of doing this room. Yeah.
Nice.
How'd you get into that?
Oh, man, it's a weird story. Before I got into doing anything with comedy, I did a podcast called Pod Vomit, and I was working in music. The music store that I was running was over in Kennesaw, and they closed down. They sold out. So a mutual friend of ours, David, he worked for the music store before, but he had got out and started working for the Strand about 6-7 months earlier than I have. He called me up. Well, I called him up, and I said, hey, man, they let us go over at the music store. Anything popping over at the Strand? And he was like, yeah, dude, you got to come and check out my comedy room, and I'll see if I can get you a job interview, but you got to come check this comedy room out. So he kept sending me invites, and he got me the job, and he kept telling me, you got to come down here and just be a presence. I was like, why? Nobody knows who I am. Nobody knows who the fuck I am. He goes, yeah, but your podcast is really funny. You got to, people, has heard it. You got to come down and do some stand-up. And I'm like, well, I'll come down, but don't hold me to stand-up.
Had you done stand-up?
Never.
No, not at all.
I was in sales. I could sell you shit at a music store all day long. I could tell you the same story about a guitar, a set of drums, a fucking oboe, and I could sell it to you, and I can tell that story 6 times.
What story is it?
Well, it just depends. If you come in and you got questions about this particular Dean guitar, say that Dimebag played, I can tell you the entire story of how he acquired this guitar and why he loves Dean guitars so much and what he does to his guitars, like takes that tremolo plate off the back and throws it away because it'll bust off, and and he does those damn hammers and stuff. And I could tell that story 6-7 times a day, try to sell that guitar and do it, So I thought, well, I'm good at just talking to strangers and bullshitting them about buying gear, So one night I had been down there for like 4 or 5 weeks, and even my girlfriend at the time, she's like, why do you keep going down there? You're not getting paid, what's the point? And I said, I can't tell you anything, but I believe it's just leading up to something. And I don't know what that is, but I just really believe it's going to add up to something. And she said, okay. And so after that conversation, I went down there and I went up, and I had been writing stuff. I thought might write jokes for comics. That might be my role, was just writing jokes for other comedians. And every one of them was like, no, dude, you should tell that. That's funny. I don't want to tell that joke. That's great. That's for you.
I want to watch you bomb.
Yeah.
I don't need
know
that.
if I like this joke.
Yeah, don't put that one on me, but I'll sell it right back to you.
So I did. I went up. I was the last comedian to go up that night. There was probably like 15 people in the room. And I did pretty well. And I was kind of on a high afterwards, because it was like, I'm driving home going, I can't believe I did this. And I have nobody to call because everybody has normal jobs and are asleep at 1 o'clock at night, And so, and then I started writing it down, become a little bit more, fluid with it, and understanding, how a joke needs to be told, and, the arc of your time. So that following Friday, David had a big show in the auditorium. It was the first comedy show that the Strand had put on since they had reopened since the renovation. And me and my then girlfriend, my podcast partner Justin, and his then wife, and some other friends went to see the show. And about 3 comics in, he calls me backstage, texts me, and says, you got to come backstage. There's a comedy emergency. And I'm like, those 2 words don't even belong together in the same fucking sentence, Comedy emergency.
What'd you lose, like, Carrot Head lose some props or something?
The door to the clown car gets stuck, I mean. So I went backstage, and he goes, listen, one of our comedians, Clint's going to be late, but I need somebody to take his spot. And I'm like,
Clint Greer?
Clint Greer,
Good dude. I've had a beer with him before.
Yeah, he's a good guy. He's a good friend of mine. And I was like, well, do you need me to help you pick somebody out back here? Pick him, pick her. He goes, no, I want you to go up. And I'm like, man, are you fucking kidding? There's like 150 people out there. I've just did this once in front of like 15, 16 people. And he goes, nah, I'm not going to take no for an answer. So I thought, you know what? Either this is going to go really good or really bad. So let's just see. Let's just see how well it does go. And, and I kept thinking, man, y'all got a lot of hope in me. Like, you really want me to go up? I don't get it. So as this comedian Hilda was coming off the stage, she goes, David was hosting. She goes, Rick, what are you doing back here? I was like, apparently I'm going up next. And she goes, oh, well, you're going to kill it. And I'm like, really? You've only seen me do this once, and you have that much.
Damn right I am. That's what I would have said.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I was still very, I've got to do something. I can't just go out there and be scared. Just go out there and try to own it. I went out there and riffed on some of these jokes I had written and some other stuff that was just coming off the top of my head for like 8 minutes. And once I really got the crowd where I thought they were good, I was like, good night, everybody, and walked the fuck off stage. And as soon as I did, I was like, I handed the mic back over to David, and I was like, this is all I want to do. I think I found what I'm supposed to do is just tell people jokes and make them laugh and talk about pot and pussy, and and people seem to like that. So I'm gonna. And then at that point, it was just like I was full on. I went to every room that would have me. 6 months after that, I was doing another room over in Ackworth, this place called Stoner Burger, and it was billed as Stoner Burger presents Nickelbag Rik open mic comedy, and I did that for like 3 months. So I was doing 2 rooms a week, and and then the year after that, I'm going on the road, and I was like, wow, I'm glad I listened to David, and that's how it started right there.
So I know working in radio, you hear this all the time. Oh, that's what you do? I love that. I could do that.
Yeah.
How often do you hear that in comedy?
All the time.
Stand-up. Yeah, it's got to be nonstop.
All the time. Now, there's people that I say that don't know what comedy etiquette is, where they'll come into a room and somebody's up there doing material, and even though it seems as if you're relating to their joke or or what their personality, it doesn't open up the gates for you to comment or interact. It's not part of, unless this person asks you a question directly. Don't intervene. You don't have to do that. I hate that. I had this woman one night, and it was her and 3 friends, and they were probably in their mid-50s. They were older, group of older ladies, and they had never been to a comedy room ever. It was very obvious. So the whole time they're like asking questions, like, "What does that mean? Did you really do that?" And it's like everybody was coming up to me afterwards, like, "Dude."
It's like watching a movie with your grandma.
Yes, yes.
Who's he again? Who's that?
Why'd they throw a flag on the play?
Yeah,
right.
Totally.
So these comics are coming up to me. They're like, "Man, I don't want to be rude, but this woman's really throwing off my chi, yo." It's
This is before you went on?
Yeah.
So you knew this was about to happen?
Oh, yeah. So I was like, they're buying drinks, but I still have like a no heckle policy, but I don't even think they know what that means. I think they're having fun. And
what do you mean by no heckle policy?
Well, if you get up there and start heckling comics in my room, the Laughing Skull has the same one. We'll boot you because, sometimes there's brand new comics going up that's never done that. So I don't want to discourage anybody, and somebody come up there and ball busting because they're just got enough,
liquid courage
to get up there and do that. And then it just ruins their experience forever. Like, I'm not good at this, So you got to respect the craft. It's a one-way conversation, And so this woman, she's going. I was doing this joke about doing dabs. Man, you would think she was doing an interview for me about what dabs are, and I'm like, if you will let me get to the end of this joke, you will know all about dabs. I promise. So I get through the joke, and she's still constantly just asking questions, and it was just making me mad. And I said, "What's your name?" And whatever her name was, I said, "Y'all give it up for whatever her name was." She is a big fan of comedy. So everybody claps for her. And she's like, "Oh." And I was like, "She is so big, her bathtub has stretch marks." She is a big, big fan. And then they left. So, and nobody got heckled the rest of the night. So,
I don't even know if I should bring this up, but I feel like I have to.
Sure.
Because I'd written this one down. Hecklers. And I wanted to talk to you about hecklers because I was watching one of your sets before I came on. And there was somebody that was hounding you in the crowd, and you turned and looked at them, and I thought that I probably shouldn't have watched this at my office.
Right.
I about fell out my desk chair. You turned and looked at the person in the middle of your set and go, "I don't come to your job and knock the dick out your mouth."
Yeah.
And then And you're like, don't do it to me here. And then the whole crowd erupted.
Yes.
It's the only part, and I don't know if you know this, it's the only part in the set you turn your back to the audience. And I was like, oh, he just laughed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because, I mean, part of it was like, man, I hope this ain't going to turn into like a sparring match. I've still got like 4 or 5 minutes of material. I don't want to be fucking it up with you screaming back and forth. Because people have drinks and they think, we're just hearing jokes. But it's like, yeah, but, at the same
Everyone's here to have fun.
Right. Oh, I've had to have people like, we had this one guy at, maybe it was last year's Pranksgiving show. I can't remember. I think it was last year's Pranksgiving show. And this guy was already so drunk. And by the time it was Bob Place of Laughing Skull, he gets up and this guy just would not leave Bob alone. And Bob is like total pro. He does this all the time. But man, he got into a shouting match with this person, and they had to wind up getting the people to leave because they just kept interrupting his set over and over and over. And after he gets off stage, he's like, "Dude, I'm so sorry." And I'm like, "What else was you gonna do? This guy wouldn't shut the fuck up. He was ruining your whole demeanor, everything. The cadence of your jokes. You handled it well. Don't apologize because you got to be prepared for that shit. Once they start coming in after, you got to have something in your hip pocket to throw at them. It's like." If you put it back on them, it makes it worse because all the attention's on them now, and it's like they realize, maybe I didn't want this much attention this fast. Mm-hmm. I should just give it back to the guy on stage with a microphone. I don't know.
This is a dumb story, but I'm gonna share it with you anyways. Sure. I got invited to an open mic night by a friend that was working one, and I went and just sat in the crowd. And this one guy goes up there, and it was at a brewery, so it wasn't a big crowd. It was like a Tuesday night, at 9:00 at night or whatever. And this guy goes up there, he's hitting everybody, what do you do? What do you do? What do you do? And I said, I work at a talk radio station at the time. And which one? Oh, this 106.7. The last comedian who was going on was like, I listen to your station all the time. So I walked over and I started talking to the guy. Well, the next guy gets up and he just starts hammering me for talking to the other guys. So I start giving him a little back. And we're both deadpan serious looking, but it is I know we're both riffing back and forth. I don't care. I'm a guy. I thought it was hilarious. When his set was done, I walked over to the side of the stage. Like, we gave each other a bro hug. We exchanged information. I thought it was a riot. He was like, that was the best set I've ever done. Unbeknownst to me, the person who had invited me thought that I was getting bullied, called the manager of the brewery. The manager of the brewery showed up, who called in the manager of the comedy group, who showed up, and then they didn't pay the guy and kicked him out.
Wow.
And said he was never welcome back there again, and I felt horrible.
That was like, political correctness at its finest working. It was like, we've got to go through the steps. Come on.
Yeah.
That's one thing, people ask me a lot about. It's like, do you think it's harder to be a comedian now than ever before? And I was like, sure, because everybody's offended. You can't say shit without anybody, which I don't give two shits. Be offended, because if you're offended by something I say, you remember who said it, and then you're still talking about me. So, fuck you. I don't give a shit. Do
you feel like you need to desensitize the room?
Nope, I don't. I mean, I look at it as it's subjective art, and everybody has. I mean, believe me, I've done comedy long enough that I've sat down and seen people come up and it's like watching Harry Carey on stage, because they, in their head, feel that they've got a great set. And it could be about anything. Trump, anti-Trump. I mean, I've seen it all. And, I don't really give a shit what you're talking about. Just be funny, But there's times where I think somebody's idea of, even though it could really take a hard left into something, offensive, people will still wind up getting, all butthurt about it, and I don't give a shit. I mean, to me, I just look at it like, if Richard Pryor or Sam Kinison or Bill Hicks or Carlin, if they come out in this day and age, it'd be hard for them to be who they turned out to be because of their material. And, Dave Chappelle, which I love Dave Chappelle, I like the fact that people are talking about his comedy special and that people are offended and things like that, because that's good comedy to me. If there's still people really talking about how either funny it was or offended you were, to me, it's like, then you're doing your job as a comedian, because you're obviously putting a big enough footprint down where people are going to see it.
Yeah, and pushing the envelope.
Absolutely. Yeah. Jerry Seinfeld says, cross the line, apologize later. and that's coming from a pretty much clean comic,
Right.
you know.
But
and
he still takes risks. Yeah,
you got to. You have to.
Tyler, have you ever done stand up or anything? I know Tyler's a musician.
Okay.
No,
So
no.
What do you play?
Mainly pianos and organs and keyboards and
okay.
stuff, but I can play it all a bit. But no, I never have, and it is, I think.
I know you've spent a lot of time on stage. I don't know if you did.
Yeah, and it's always been, something I'd like to try, but I'm definitely terrified of it.
Have you ever been heckled while playing a gig?
No, because luckily we were loud enough. Yeah, like if I was a singer-songwriter, maybe.
Well,
but
that's the thing too. I think comedy is one of the only, kind of pieces of art that you can do where people will heckle. Nobody ever goes to see a band and goes, "Let me up there and play this solo." Let me do the backup harmonies.
Or if they do, they launch into the song right after, and you can't hear the shit
Right.
anyways. So
And even if they're heckling you, they'll just leave. You suck. Okay, then fucking leave.
Dave Grohl brings people on stage, plays drums, plays
Sure.
guitar and stuff. But it's usually, let's be honest, that's all set up. They know the kid that's in the crowd that's
Absolutely.
15 that they're going to tear up Monkey Wrench or whatever song they're about to get
Yes.
into and destroy it.
The guitar's already in tune.
Yeah.
They already know what he's playing. Of course it's set up. But, you go to comedy shows and then people are just like, they automatically want to kind of, chime in. And like I said, it doesn't happen it doesn't happen at puppet shows. You know what I'm saying? I don't believe this,
yeah.
They're like, oh, they're puppets. Oh, but comedy, no. It's just like, you suck, or they feel like they need to add on to your joke. It's like at the end of the show, it's not like you're going to go, oh, let me give a writing credit really quick to, homeboy right down here in the front row. Thank God you fixed this joke for me,
Is that just because it's so intimate, I guess, between you and the audience and like when
I
you're
think
connecting
so.
with them?
I think so. I think there's certain topics that people just will gravitate to, and it could be anything, but they just feel, oh yeah, I totally get what you're saying. And if I was thinking this is what I would say. So I'm going to yell this out to you. And it's like, just come up to me afterwards and say something about it. I don't know.
I just thought of something really random. Next time you have somebody doing that, you should be in the middle of a joke and just stop and look at them like you're in a play and be like, line.
Yes.
Line.
Yes, exactly. The script has got you
Yeah,
right
I thought you had it. Come on. All right, you gonna shut up?
We're going to start this thing all over again. Go like Christian Bale in the Terminator where he's screaming at that grip or whatever, losing his mind.
Oh, that's too funny. So I've got to address the elephant in the room for everybody watching on YouTube. You're definitely going to see his picture on our Instagram and our Twitter at the Yeah Come On Show.
Yeah, come on.
And okay, Kevin Smith, you look just like Silent Bob.
Yes, I get that every day of my life.
I can't imagine why. And I ran into you 2 weeks ago out at what bar was that?
It was Johnny McCracken's.
Johnny McCracken's.
Atlanta Road on Marietta Square.
Yeah, doing karaoke, and I think I caught a quick video. Tyler's got it. It is tiny on there, but it is actually hilarious. So you have a friend that does Jay.
Yep, his name's Corey Hirsch. He's in a band called Like Mike, and it's actually his idea.
His band's Like Mike.
That's his name.
Why would you name a band after such a terrible movie? Especially a Lil Bow Wow movie. Credit Shannon Burke.
I have no stake in that claim. That's just I'm just reporting what I know.
All right, here it is. So good. Your mannerisms are exactly
your mannerisms are down pat. That's what got me.
Yeah.
I actually watched Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back last night, getting mentally ready for this.
Okay, great.
Thank God for
Great,
Netflix. Okay. When did the whole Kevin Smith thing start for you? Because I can't imagine you were rocking this look
Well,
back in middle school or something.
No. I mean, it's kind of funny. It's kind of I've been a Kevin Smith fan since Clerks first came out. It was the same year Pulp Fiction came out, and it really struck me because he was a director that, his whole movie was just about dialogue, about Star Wars and Jaws and relationships and weed, and it was just like, well, these sounds like people I know, and so I just thought it was a cool movie, and at that point, then Mallrats, and I was just really sold. I just liked, he had Stanley and Mallrats, and this was right up my alley, and it probably wasn't until, I remember the first time I ever looked like Silent Bob as a Halloween party back in like the 90s, where it was like I think Chase and Amy just come. It was when Dogma come out, and I remember that.
Jeez.
Everybody that night kept asking me and my buddy Jeff if we were the
Fallen Angels. Are you Ben Affleck?
They didn't even really. Kevin Smith wasn't even a household name yet. But they kept asking us if we was like the Columbine murderer kids.
Oh my God!
And I'm like,
are you Trenchcoat Mafia?
Yeah, that's what Trenchcoat Mafia. And we're like, no, man, we're Jay and Silent Bob, and they're like, who? Yeah, it's like that's bad when the Trenchcoat Mafia is, has got a bigger name than Jay and Silent Bob. But that's the first time I ever did it. But it wasn't really. When I got into comedy, I always wore the Movies hat. I've been wearing a Movies hat for as long as I could find them. And I just got a new one. This is brand new. I got it in the mail this morning. And I've probably got 15 of these damn things at my house, And so I would always wear the Movies hat. Even back when I worked in music, I rocked the Movies hat, And I had the name Nickelbag Rik. That just came from back in the days of MySpace. People would say that I looked like Dimebag Darrell from Pantera. So I got this nickname as Nickelbag Rik. And I just thought that was cool because I was a big Pantera fan. And, I've met most of those guys like Vinnie Paul and, Phil Anselmo and Rita, his widow. And I knew a bunch of the people at the Dean Guitar companies that he, worked with. And so I was known as Nickelbag for a long time. And, when I got into comedy, I always just kind of, I never did the jacket on stage. But I always would wear the hat, wear my hair like him and everything. And my face already just looked like that. So it just all worked out. But it's just really kind of my, nod to Kevin Smith all the time. Because to me, he's, I want to be that guy. Just a dude that just, worked really hard on doing shit that you love,
Yeah, he's himself.
Exactly.
He's not anybody else. That's a great thing. He's also a genius. I mean, he wrote, Clerks on a 3-hour plane flight or something? Clerks 2, I think.
Yeah, and I just like his tenacity. He's somebody who works really hard. He does podcasts. He writes movies and directs movies. And, and he's got a lot of irons in the fire. And he doesn't necessarily... he could be resting on a whole bunch of stuff, but he doesn't, and I like the fact that he's just a promotion whore. He has an audience that he really cares about and reaches out to, and I think that's cool, and he's just a passionate individual. And I'm, he and I are roughly about 2 years in age difference, I'm actually meeting them Saturday night.
Oh, really? Okay, so Southside wanted to ask you that.
Okay.
We were talking about that this morning. He's like, do you think he's ever met him? I was
met him twice.
Oh, really?
I actually kissed him on the cheek one time. And
did he kiss you back?
No. I think he was a little kind of like, wow. And I was like, sorry, dude, I just really love you, man. And he was like, oh, it's cool. My best friend's Jay Muse. You haven't done anything. And then I met him at the Improv, and then I've met Jay once, but this is a meet and greet photo op thing for Reboot Saturday. I got third row tickets. And it's funny because when I talk about Kevin Smith, the only thing I can ever really think about is that I feel like I'm coming off like that fucking song by Eminem, Stan. It's like, and I was just like, I don't want to be that guy. I just really like him a lot. He's great. I've got all his movies. I go see him every time he comes and everything. But I don't want to be Stan,
Dear Kevin.
Yeah, dear Kevin.
Have you ever written
Jay
him
in the trunk,
Have you ever written him a letter?
Nope. He did like one of my tweets one time after the show at the Improv. He was just talking about this underwear and that he sent the picture to was supposed to send it to his wife, but his daughter wound up getting it, and she was all creeped out, and it was just funny. And so I just hashtagged, something about the purple underwear, and just said it was nice to meet you last night, and he liked. And the funny story about this is. It's kind of fucked up, but it's funny. So the next morning, I get up, and I'm going to the bathroom, and I'm, of course, taking my phone with me. And I go to take a shit, and as I'm going through Twitter, and I see that Kevin Smith liked my tweet, I literally shit. I was like, yes. When somebody says they shit themselves, I know what they're talking about. It was like, it's just almost sort of this weird orgasmic kind of thing. I've just evacuated my bowels and got the love of Kevin Smith all in one time, man. So, yeah. So, I've just met him briefly and stuff, but I've never written him a letter or anything like that. I don't think that'd be. I don't know. What am I going to say? Can you come over and have dinner?
I don't know. Just Andy Dufresne him.
Andy Dufresne him.
I'm not gay, but you turned me gay.
So you got confused with Trenchcoat Mafia on Halloween.
Yep.
Have you ever gone out on Halloween with your Jay dressed as Blunt Man and Chronic?
No, we're actually talking about doing that for Dragon Con.
Do you need a cock knocker?
Yes, we would need a cock knocker.
I may offer up some service.
And then now people are asking now, they're like, because since me and Corey did this, would y'all do a Blunt Man and Chronic? And if you did do a Blunt Man and Chronic, would you do the retro Blunt Man and Chronic from Strikes Back? Or would you do the new Blunt Man v Chronic in reboot? Because they've been rebooted. So now Chronic is actually a girl. It's Supergirl. What's her name?
I have no idea. I haven't even seen it. Claire Danes?
No, Claire Benoist.
I have no
Supergirl.
idea.
I don't know. But
I'm thinking Homeland.
Yeah.
Whatever.
But, so we're kind of in talks about maybe doing a Blunt Man and Chronic. That'd be cool. I'd do it. The only thing that would suck is Dragon Con's like in September, so it's fucking hot as hell. So wearing any coat in September in Georgia is just asking for fucking money.
And full spandex, right?
Well, he's got like this pot leaf shirt, which you can get at the View. Or I think it's at the Stash.
Spencer's.
No, you can get it at the Jay and Silent Bob's Secret Stash. That's where I do all my shopping for Kevin Smith stuff. Jay and Silent Bob's SecretStash.com. I don't know. I'm making nothing off of this, but
Dude, I will say this. I know I'm throwing this really far off. The first time I ever saw that, my brother had to explain to me that was Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, well, it says, "Hey kids, it's Mark Hamill" on the screen.
And I was like, "Who the hell's Mark Hamill?" My brother looked at me like I was a moron.
He also had Carrie Fisher as the nun, Princess Leia, in his movie. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. The story was that she could not stand Jason Mewes because he was just Jason Mewes and she just didn't, and she's Carrie Fisher.
Yeah, she's royalty.
And, he would do shit like, just ask her a bunch of stupid questions and, and he was on heroin at the time. So,
yeah, not his right head. Yeah.
She said she just, it was hard for her to take that time with Jay Mewes.
Wasn't his first movie after heroin, Zack and Mary Make a Porno?
Yep.
He is like tiny, but he's clean in that, and his hair's all short. He cut it all off for that one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he went to rehab, and he was. Yeah, that's why he wasn't in the movie Jersey Girl. He was supposed to be Jason Biggs' character in that, but he was missing. He was running from the police, and the story that they tell in Strikes Back, Clerks 2, when they're standing out in front of the movies, and they're like, "Where you guys been?" He's like, we got caught by Middletown police riding around with a deployed airbag, and he's like, that really happened to him. That's how he got caught with a whole bunch of heroin. He was riding around with a deployed airbag, and they pulled him over, and they had heroin on him, and of course he went to rehab because but that's a real true story that actually happened to him. So
has your look of Silent Bob-esque ever gotten you laid?
Yeah. Twice.
Seriously?
Yeah, twice.
Damn cult followings right there.
Yeah,
That's
man.
what I'm talking about.
2 times.
Did they want to call you Silent Bob the whole time?
I just told them to shut up. No.
No, I laid a mirror in between us.
Yeah. Yeah, twice. I've gotten laid twice off the Kevin Smith / Bob thing. And I'm like, well, at least I'm, Kevin's married, so at least I could double for him. I could be his / wingman kind of, body double.
Right.
Has anybody ever thought that you were Kevin Smith being Silent Bob and you just didn't say a word?
I've done that
and
a
took
lot.
a picture and then they walked away thinking they had just met Kevin Smith?
I was walking down, I was on the square the other day, and I was at work, but it was like I had just gotten done with a shift, and I was walking down to my car, and I had my coat on and I had my hat on, and this 2 girls and 2 guys was walking down, and when I walked past, I noticed they looked at me, but then when I walked past, I heard them going, "Is that the guy that's Silent Bob? Is that him?" And she's like, "Should I go back and say something?" I already turned the corner. I just kept on going because it's like, I'm just going to disappoint you,
Yeah.
I'm not Kevin Smith. I'm not Silent Bob. It's just I'm just some long hair stoner walking through, just trying to get in my truck. That's it. I've had people come and want to take pictures though. Just they're like, "Dude, you look like Kevin Smith," or if I pull my hair back and have the hat on or whatever.
I didn't send them, but I took pictures with you.
Suck those guys' dicks off.
I took pictures with you when we ran into each other at McCracken's.
Well, sometimes, I've been at bars where I'll just go full on Bob and not talk to people because it's a good kind of way to separate not having to get into some drunken conversation with somebody about Kevin. It's because it's cool. I like to talk about Kevin Smith, but at the same time, it's like, you know, I don't, you know, I got other interests as well. You know, it's just like, this is just a look, you know.
Yeah.
The first time I actually saw you do comedy was, I think 2 years ago, was Pranksgiving.
Yep.
And you walked out on stage when they introduced you, and I'm just like, holy shit. I thought it was Kevin. So I was like, this is Silent Bob.
On one of my last shows, it was in the summer last year, I was standing out by the stage door, and I was talking to my stage manager. And one of the, you know, the Strand is a nonprofit organization. So one of our, the board members had driven by with their kid or their brother-in-law or something like that, and they stopped the car and, you know, and me and my friend Kat saw it. We were like, what are they doing? You know, and they drive on, and then a few minutes later, my general manager calls me and goes, were you standing out by the backstage door with Kat a minute ago? And I was like, yeah. And he goes, well, so-and-so just called, wanted to know if Kevin Smith is at the Strand, and they wanted some pictures. So Kat went out there and took a bunch of pictures of me and sent them to him, you know, but they slowed down wondering if Kevin Smith was at the Strand Theater by the backstage door. And I was like, no, it's not, you know. I guess you could look, you know, it could be worse. I could look like Steve Buscemi or Keith Richards.
Oh, my gosh.
Lemmy, you know, so it could be worse.
So
Speaking of that, too, I wanted to put his poster up there. We'll promote it.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I wanted to ask you about Pranksgiving about this year. I'm going to be there.
Awesome.
So I'm going to come and hang out with Dave, as you were saying, Dave Roper, our good mutual friend, who
Yep.
actually kind of how we know each other,
Yep.
met. But so this year's Pranksgiving, what is Pranksgiving?
It's my fourth. I do 4 shows a year at the Strand. I do Comedy Heartbreakers in February. I do Comedy Luau, usually around July. It's a summer show. Then in September, generally, I do Comedy Grind. And then in November, I do Pranksgiving. And basically what it is when I run the open mic throughout the year, I have a lot of people coming through. I never repeat a feature throughout the year. So we'll say if I'm doing 48 weeks of comedy at the Strand at the open mic, if you saw somebody feature back in July, you won't see them again until next year. So I've had 48
wow.
different feature comics. So I'll look through some of these people and I put them on my stage, and some of them are touring comics, and some of them are up and comers that feel like it's time for them to hit their next mark. They've put the work in, but yeah, it's just a show I do every year. Like I say, I've been doing this is my 4th year doing it. And this one we've got Keegan Ray, Keith Vance, H.T. Rosen and the Kind, which David is in that band, The Kind.
They actually performed here at we had
Yes.
Shannon Burke's ended, so people
he
know the
wanted me
Shannon
to come
Burke
to that,
show.
but I was working and he called me too soon, and I was like, if you gave me a little bit more time, I could have totally done that. But,
yeah, here at Oxygen Financial in Alpharetta.
right.
There you go.
Who else is on that show? Gary Cargill, who's on the Southern Mama tour with Darren Knight. I don't know if you are aware of him, but Darren is a big comedian who basically got famous off YouTube and now tours around the country with Gary and Red Squirrel. And
How ridiculous is that people get that famous now off YouTube?
now he don't do that material on stage, which is cool, but the Southern Mama thing is just him on his iPhone screaming like an old Southern woman about anything. Halloween, kids, the school bus.
Tyler, aren't you glad Steve's not here right now?
Oh, yeah.
That's actually a character on the show. Steve plays his mom, and it's a very urban Southern woman,
Yeah,
which makes zero sense.
Urban
for
Southern
this.
woman.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm very glad he's not.
But yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy that that this guy's touring around all over the place, and basically just bought a beautiful home out in Talladega. It's like it's a mansion. It's big, But this all just come from doing YouTube videos, and he gets monetized, from doing these videos because he's getting 3, 4, 5 million hits, and he can get that in a day.
Damn.
Yeah.
Jinx.
Yeah, it's crazy. And so, Gary's been touring with him, for the last couple of years, and he and I are good friends, and he's going to be on the show. Sonny's so funny, Olivia Joy Wilde, Kimberly Wilson, she's out of Alabama. She's hilarious. I did a show with her up in Huntsville. Keith Vance, he does a show here called Feed Me Funny, which is great. Trying to think who else and what they're doing. But, but like I say, it's some of the Southeast and Atlanta's, best either up-and-comers or some of the, really in-rooted, comedians doing my show. I have a live band every time. I always theme them with whatever, like this year's band's called The Leftovers.
You know what I think is kind of interesting about this? First off, the night that it's on. I heard this today. I don't know if this is true or not. It's the Wednesday night before Thanksgiving.
Yep.
I was told that that's the biggest night to go out drinking.
It is.
Is it really? I would thought like 4th of July or maybe the Saturday before Christmas because all the Christmas parties and.
I think Thanksgiving, and there's a reason for it. Number one, it's family related, but some people they're going to spend time with these people for the next few days. So that one night, it's like, let's go out and get fucked up, you know. So if I got to deal with you people, you know.
Good icebreaker, yeah.
You know, and I love that. That's probably my biggest show that I do at the Strand every year. I always.
It was packed when I went.
Yeah, it usually always is. I mean, not that any shows.
I mean, not like you can't find a seat packed. Like
right.
I found like we there was 4 of us. We sat down comfy and you know, had a couple drinks. That's where I met Clint. I thought he was hilarious.
I love that guy. He's one of the ones responsible for putting me up on stage. You know, he was one of the guys I wanted to write for. Was Clint, a guy named Dorelio Ledger, a guy named Black Rob, and Tobias Dean. And, you know, they were all like, dude, you got some really good jokes. You just tell them. You know, I don't know if that would really, because I think they just wrote their own shit. I think the concept of somebody coming up to them and going, hey, can I write jokes for you? They were just like, for me? Like, I'm just doing this already. I don't know. And why don't you just do that? And I thought, well, that's true. But, I mean, you know, there's comedians out there who have comedy writers, you know. So I didn't think it was like an odd request, but apparently I should just write jokes for myself. And that's kind of how I do write jokes. I just see shit and go, that's fucked up. Like, I was taking my daughter to work one day. She was working for Walmart. This several years ago. And I pull up in front of Walmart, and there's a woman walking across the parking lot, and she has a hot pink hoodie on and camouflage sweatpants walking into Walmart. I know, typical Walmart fashion, but I was just like, pink and then camo. And I just looked at my daughter and went, does this bitch want to be seen or not?
But you gotta understand, when I go hunting, I have to wear orange and camo.
But it's not like you're hiding from savings.
I'm trying not to get shot, though.
Right. It's not like you're hiding from savings or being like, oh, now I'm exposing myself to savings, you know. You're in Walmart, you know. I'm just glad you found 2 articles of clothes that fit, but, you know.
Hiding from savings.
You know, wearing makeup, so you put some effort into this. So I said, you know, does this bitch want to be seen or not? And my daughter, she's getting out of the car, she goes, that's funny, you ought to write that down. So I pulled up in the parking lot on my phone, you know, and I use that in a joke about being at the mall, you know, about.
Oh, yeah, I have. I actually, do you want to play that joke?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so here's a bit. Do you want to set this up?
Well,
or does it set it up itself?
Was, I want to say, might have been the pranks. Was it the Pranksgiving, the one you went to? I think it's like 2 years ago.
I think it was.
Yeah, I believe it's just the second Pranksgiving. And I didn't host back then. I used to get a host. I would just, you know, be in the cast of comedians as well. But then I started thinking, well, shit, man. You know, I don't want to go out and do material. I'd rather just do material through the comedians. I get more time than them by default.
Yeah.
And it's my fucking show. So this was 2 years ago at Pranksgiving, and when Connor was hosting, and man, we've made some big changes since then. But yep, I still do this joke. It's fun.
I love going to the food court in the mall. I love the food court. The food court is my favorite place. Because you ever notice when you go down to the food court, it's never the same restaurants as out like in the real world. So it's different ones, except Chick-fil-A. So much you just got the hot down on that one. But my favorite place is called Great Wraps, Euro Wraps. Apparently some employees are here.
I love that.
Doing a show tonight. We got to be serious, man. It's not the gyro rap or the Indo rap, because they kick me out of that fucking place. But I like the Euro rap place, the Great Rap place. I was down there the other day, I said, hey man, I was telling the guy, I said, look man, I want a number 2 with some curly fries and a large Dr. Pepper. He goes, is that going to be for here or to go? And I was like, really? And he goes, yeah. Is that going to be for here or to go? And I'm looking around the food court. And then I started thinking about this for a second. And I'm like, what the fuck has anybody ever been riding around lunchtime? I said, hell, I'm hungry. Well, over here at the mall. Over here in the parking lot, Jay.
Yeah, 20-minute
Let's
trip.
walk all the way across this J.C. Penney's. Has hot topics, entry gifts. Rick over here, cookie kiosk selling weed. Up the escalator to the food court and go, hey man, can you wrap this shit up? I'm in a fucking hurry. I got to go. It's always at the food court, man.
It's always at the food court, man.
I love that. When I saw that, I was just laughing. I was like, damn, that's so true.
Yeah, I mean, why would you say to go? Now I've even added on to that joke. I'm like, to go where? Where am I eating this shit? Build-A-Bear. You know, why you got all these tables out here? No, it's not to go at all. There's no drive-through window. Don't even bring that up. It's not to go nowhere. You fucking moron.
Yeah, I thought they just gave you a to-go box no matter what at the food court anyway.
Yeah, I mean, what decisions are you making if you've been shopping all day and it's like, well, hell, honey, before we go home, let's run up here to the food court and get some to-go boxes. Fuck it. I mean, what is your hurry at this point? It's cold by the time you get that. Well, now you're eating cold mall food. You know?
I don't think mall food reheats well.
No, of course not. It's just there for the moment, you know? It's like, come on, you know? It's not fine dining at the fucking mall.
So for Pranksgiving, how different is it now being the host as opposed to being one of the performers? I mean, I guess you're still the performer, but you're not doing
It's a little bit more involved. It's a little bit more involved. What I do is, you know, because as producing the show as well and hosting and all these things, it just kind of gives me, I just have a better kind of sense of where everybody needs to be and what they're doing. Even though I have a stage manager, I'm still kind of hovering with them the whole time, making sure people are in the wings, waiting to go. You know, everybody's on, you know, everybody's ready. It ain't like nobody's all partied out before they're going to hit the stage. You know, that's usually afterwards. But, you know, it's a lot more work, but I find it to be a lot more fulfilling in that role than just going up and doing a set. Because I've noticed, like, sometimes if I'm just doing a set and I'm backstage in my dressing room waiting to go on, and then I go on, and after I'm done, I'm like, I'm getting fucked up, you know? And it's like, oh, there's still more of a show to go, you idiot. Your name is on this, you know? So it's like, with this, I'll wait till after the fact, you know? It's like, oh, you know, I'll go to the after party then, and then get fucked up, but, you know.
I thought one thing that was cool about it when I went, and that's, and I keep referencing him because he was probably who I talked to the most, Clint.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there, I show up, I sit down in the crowd, I watch a few comedians go on, I saw you, and I think he was he was in the group that went that I saw, and then we were like, all right, let's go get a drink. And I was laughing my ass off at Clint. I go order a drink, I turn and look, dude's standing right next to me.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? And then we just sat there and had a beer or two together and just talked. And I was like, how many places are you going to go watch the guy on stage come over here? And it's just like, yeah, they're just hanging out with
Clint's
you.
a hilarious guy, man. He used to be a youth pastor, and I always say he looks like basically if a Muppet got the wish to become human.
It's spot on if you've ever seen this.
He really does. And let me tell you, I love this guy. He's a good friend. I've had him over at my house, and and I've always been a big supporter of everything he does. But he looks like a fucking Muppet. You know, he's always got the sweater vest on and shit. But he is as solid as the day is long. He's 100% good guy. I love Clint Greer to death, man. He's a good cat.
Yeah, I just find it cool that you can hang out with the performers as being a member of the audience.
The only thing that sucks about that sometimes is when you walk into a bar. A few weeks ago, I went, because McCracken's is right down, about a block away from the Strand. So, as a bartender and then after comedy, I am always over there. I'm not bragging. I'm not like, but I'm there enough that people know who I am. Right. Wait staff, people, so it's kind of fucked up when you walk in, they already have your drink ready, and you're like, this is dangerous. Good thing we're not, in an opium den somewhere in Turkey. Fired up, I'm here. But I come in after the show a few weeks ago, and this two ladies are sitting at the bar. I had no idea who they are. One of them knew who I was, and she's like, hey, you're the comedian. I was like, yeah, hey, how's it going? And I'm being nice and talking to him. She's like, well, my friend's from Jacksonville. Do your stuff for her. And I went, no, I just did that over there. You missed it. She's like, yeah, but she's going to be going back to Jacksonville. She's not going to be able to see it. So you do a set? And I'm like, I haven't even had a beer. And I'm not coming in and redoing my set in front of two women on bar stools who are clearly been drinking about 2 hours before I got there, And I was like, no, I'm not going to do a set, Well, tell me a joke. It's like
Dance for me, clown.
Exactly. That's why I say, dance, monkey, dance, you know. So I just said, and this is always my go-to when somebody says, you know, all right, when you're a comedian, tell me something funny. I always go, all right, well, what do old people smell like? I don't know. And I go, depends.
I get it, diaper.
Yes. And I'm like, that one's free. So come
Pay for a real one. How much is Pranksgiving? How can people get tickets?
$10. You can go to the box office and see our lovely staff there at the Earl Rachel Smith Strand Theater, or you can go online at earlsmithstrand.org. Just go to buy tickets and click on Pranksgiving. They're only $10. And the ticket link, I've posted it on the Show Up, Go Up page as well, and my page. So you can go to any one of the comedians that are on this show to their page, and they have a link as well. So, but just go to the Strand website, and you can buy them there, $10 a piece. Live band, 8 comics, and me for $10. Right before Thanksgiving. You can't beat that.
Steal.
That's a steal.
That's Black Friday. Come early.
Damn right. You can't get weed that cheap, man.
Damn, if you could though.
Oh man, I would be.
The show would be a
happier.
lot different.
Yes.
What's your biggest fear when you're on stage?
Let's get brain farting.
Get deep.
Brain
Seriously?
farting. Yep. Just worry. But I've never done that because to me, I look at like comedy. When you write your set out, I have just like taglines of what jokes I'm going to tell. So I look at it like Robert Plant never had to go out on stage with a notebook in his hand and remember all the words to Kashmir, Stairway to Heaven. He knew this shit, and he was on drugs. So I have to be able to do the same thing.
He was so bored with the shit, he had to be high.
Yeah,
He played 1,000,000 times.
Yes, exactly. He was just phoning it in. Stairway to somewhere. I don't know. But
that's when I hold the microphone out to the crowd.
yes, do a Vince Neil. I always say when you go see Motley Crue, they should charge you. They should take a fourth of the price off because the audience is doing more work for Vince than he is. So shout. It's like, man, you need to get a paramedic back there, man. It's like he's shouting at the deli, not the devil. I love Motley Crue.
He still wears leather.
Yes, it's like he looks like a cow now, though. That's the problem. It's like Motley Moo. And don't get me wrong, I love me some Crue, dude, but damn, Vince, you need to hit the gym, bro. I'm just saying. Nikki Sixx looks like he's found the fountain of youth. You look like you just said, nah, I ain't going. Nah, fuck it. We're just going to drink at the casino. Fuck it.
No, so you've never brain farted on stage?
No, I haven't. No, I'm always pretty, like I'm doing some new material now. So the other night when I did a show over, my friend Mellow Black does a room over at McCracken's every second Monday of the month.
How do you get a name like Mellow Black? Sorry, I'm like distracted. I'm very distracted by that.
Yeah, I guess he's black.
And he drank a lot of Mellow Yellow.
Just a chill dude.
Real
He's super
chill dude.
chill.
Yeah, he's funny because Mello's you can tell he played football in high school. He's big old tall dude. He stands a good head taller than me. And first of all, when he does karaoke, this is my favorite part. He always does falsetto shit. Bee Gees, Casey, and
Nice.
That's the best. And then, but when you talk to him, you're like, "Yo, Mello, what's up? Hey, man, you doing all right?" And it's like, "Yep." It's like, "I got into a car wreck this weekend." Really? You all right? Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, most people would be animated.
Well, I mean, it's like, is your whip, man? Is it fucked up? It's total. Did you have any weed on you? Nah, but I was drinking. I went to fucking jail for DUI, but it's cool, man. And I'm like, man, I'm telling you, my anxiety would have been to the fucking roof, you know? I'm like, it's over. He's just like, oh, man, it's fine, dude. It's cool.
That's amazing.
So he is mellow and black. So I guess he chose his name like Nickelbag Rik. Nobody goes, Nickelbag Rik. I'll tell you what I hate, though, and I even wrote a joke about this. It's too bad Steve isn't here to hear this because he would appreciate it. But I get called more often, especially I'll write my name on a list where I'm doing a show, and it says clearly, if you can read, and my handwriting is not poor at all, Nickelbag Rik, all right? Now, it's R-I-K. I can understand where you might fuck that up and throw a C in there. But don't fucking introduce me as Nickelback Rik.
Yeah, they're seeing the CK and moving it forward.
And I tell people, look, man, I would much rather have my name associated with marijuana than a shitty Canadian rock band.
Right.
And there's a difference on how the two sound. Like Nickelback sounds like shit. Nickelbag sounds like this. See, that's so much better.
Tyler knows about that life.
I could listen to that all day. Not Nickelback. No, thank you. I don't know. Does Steve like Nickelback? I don't know. He might even be a Nickelback kind of
Oh,
guy.
you know what? I did have a question
we
from
don't
him.
know.
Is and I know I probably just distracted you off the last question, which I'm terribly sorry about that. Yeah, here we'll talk about you brain farting on, then I'll
Sure,
do
sure.
the Steve question. Here, tell me about your brain farts and
Oh,
Mellow
okay.
Black.
No,
before I
I've never
cut you
brain
off.
farted on stage, but that's just one of my biggest fears. Especially when I first got into it, I just that was my, and you just of course always worrying that you're just not going to hit. That's always a thing.
I mean, you have to expect the bomb, though.
Oh, absolutely, and that's the
And I'm
thing.
sure you probably have.
So many big name
It is.
comedians. Like Billy Crystal says he still throws up before he goes on stage. It makes him that nervous, and that's Billy Crystal. So I think everybody deals with their I watched this special with Jerry Seinfeld not too long ago called Comedian. It come out like a year or so after Seinfeld had ended, and it was him getting back on the road. But he's still, it's Jerry Seinfeld. He's been doing this since the early 80s, but he's still backstage, and a guy comes up and goes, "Can I get a quick picture?" And he's like, "No, not right now," because it's like, don't get in my head. Don't, So I think every comedian worries about just not doing well, bombing, the audience just not really, and there are certain jokes that have done well for you in the past, and then when you throw that one out there and it's just kind of like, womp womp, you're like, oh shit, well, where's the rest of this stuff going to go? We started off with this. It's like, hey, they're going to hate that abortion clinic joke that I've got coming around the corner soon. So good night, everybody, But I think that's just my biggest worry is just not doing well,
And then you have like other comedians they live on certain jokes. Where if the audience shows up and they don't tell the joke,
Yeah.
Bert Kreischer, you can't go see him without him telling the machine story.
Sure.
If he didn't tell the machine story, people would be furious.
And then, and I think, like, I have like certain jokes that it's funny because I've been telling since I've been doing comedy that always do well. People actually request, are you going to do the Hank Hill? Are you going to do, And I always feel like that's what it's like to have your Rock and Roll All Night or your Stairway to Heaven or your Comfortably Numb, where it's like, I got other stuff, but you're known for these,
It's a good problem to have,
Sure,
basically. Yeah.
sure. And I think everybody kind of does suffer with it in a way where it's like the joke so thoroughly and you've told it a million times that you yourself are kind of burnt out with it. I always say when Kiss starts playing Rock and Roll All Night, I guarantee you Gene and Paul look at each other and like,
Thank God they have all that face paint.
Yeah, but it's like, it's money, but I guarantee you, if they could go the rest of their life without ever hearing that song, they would probably be, Robert Plant said he never wants to play Stairway to Heaven live ever again.
Right.
He's just like, haven't we heard it all enough? And
I
I'm
would
like,
say Skinner
Yeah.
and Freebird, but I mean, it's not really Skinner anymore,
Right.
so they don't care. They're like, oh shit, there's a new one.
yeah. Like, I think Gary Collins is the only one still alive of that band. I don't even know if he's, is it?
No, it's
Rossington.
Gary
Gary
Rossington.
Rossington, yeah. Alan Collins died. That's right. That's right. But he lives somewhere out here in Alpharetta too.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, I went to high school with his daughter.
Yeah.
The one like right there used
I
to
don't
be a high
even know
school
if
down
he's
the
even
street.
still with them, but
Oh yeah, I'm not sure either.
I think he is.
I think
Is
he
he?
is. Yeah.
Yeah.
just wheel them out every once in a while. And be like,
Yeah. Yeah.
We're just doing Freebird and we're sending you home.
Yeah, they got him on strings.
Yeah. And we're not even plugging you in, so it's fine. There's a lot of spotlight on you.
Just smile, you get $100,000.
That's
and you're
right.
good to go.
Everybody's gonna light their lighters because this phone don't even hold cell phones up no more. They're still with the Bics.
Right, right.
So
Southside Steve question is
All right.
Journey the best or the greatest band ever?
no,
Only two options. Yeah.
I don't. All right.
He would reach across this table right now and would have. I mean, he probably wouldn't hit you because y'all he'd be like,
I don't-
He'd be like, can I touch your hair? What kind of product do you use?
Here's what I think about Journey. I like their early stuff with when Greg Raleigh was with them, and I like some. But when you work in a bar, you hear a lot of fucking "Don't Stop Believing" and all that shit. And I'll tell you right
Yeah,
now,
for sure.
I don't want to hear that shit, man. It's a bunch of. I know this is gonna sound fucked up, but it's a bunch of middle-aged women reliving some fucking glory days back when they were in high school, wearing pants they don't need to be fucking wearing, using and after you see that a bunch of times, man, it's just like fuck.
You're
this
over
shit.
it.
Yeah, it's like so no, not the greatest by no stretch. There's many. Journey probably shows up in like the top 50 somewhere, but not nowhere near a top.
Ooh.
Sorry.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
You know, they just, I don't, you know, come on, how many times are you going to hear loving, touching, squeezing, or the lights in the city? If you got a fucking
Steve would say not enough.
And, you know, and that trips me out about him. He worked in radio, so he's had to hear this shit over and over and over.
in
and
rock
over.
and roll radio
Yes.
for like 25,
How are you not got a gun in your
Still
mouth
just
at
as
this
enthusiastic.
Yeah, how are you not got a gun in your mouth at this point? You know, it's just like,
I hope he listens this far in.
man, it's like, coming up next, Rock 100.5. I'm Southside Steve. We're going to play Journey for the 17,000th time. And it's the same goddamn song. You know,
Listen for the cock. Yeah. The gun.
yeah. You know, I don't even know how any rock radio DJ does that. I mean, I know they don't listen to that shit. It's all pre-programmed and all that, but it's just like, I always hate when they go, it's an Our Request weekend on such and such radio station. And they get some phone call and guy goes, hey, can you play Hotel California by the Eagles? Why? Haven't you heard it like 80 times this week?
It was going to come up if you didn't request it, regardless.
Right. Oh, can I hear Another Brick on the Wall part 2?
Ask for a deep cut. Jesus.
You know, yes. You know, freak me out. Play the entire Animals album, you know?
Right.
You know?
Yeah, let's go real deep.
Hey, coming up next, we're going to go ahead and tell everybody right now, go ahead and drop a hit of acid because on the next hour, we're going to play Pink Floyd, Animals. And we're going to finish it up with Inagata Devita, Iron Butterfly. So hang in there, ladies and gentlemen. It's a commercial-free acid trip weekend.
That would actually be really funny, but they would never allow that.
Of course not, you know, unless it was satellite radio or something.
They used to have, when I first started, I was in country music 8-9 years ago.
Right.
Actually, the first station I worked here in Atlanta when I moved back was Kicks 101.5. And
Rhubarb Jones.
I'm in the Cadillac era.
Oh, Cadillac. Okay, yeah.
Cadillac and Dallas.
Yep.
I'm still buddies with both of them. Still work with Dallas. But they had I would do midnight to 2 a.m. You know, that's where they put the 22-year-olds.
Sure.
Because God forbid you put them anywhere. I mean,
Nobody's listening at that time. Really,
I wouldn't have listened. Yeah, it's a non-rated hour. Who cares? But they had these, just clipboards that were just spreadsheets.
Sure.
And pretty much people would call in. I would record it, and they'd be like, "Can I hear this request a song or something?" I'd have to write it on a spreadsheet, and I'd record the call in case the song ends up becoming popular enough that we could use the call later. And then if it got enough on the spreadsheet through the DJs, which me and only one other person did it, and there's a lot more than that on in a full day, they might think about adding it once or twice, 2 spins a day.
Well, it's like there's certain, I used to drive a truck in Atlanta, and just around the metro, and
Just on 285 doing circles.
all the time, man. I was in places like over in Gwinnett and out there, Clayton County and in town and Cobb and all this stuff. And the only thing I ever really liked is when I would listen to was in the morning was just talk morning radio, like because even back this was in the 90s. I guess it was still when Steve was on
Regular Guys.
And I love those dudes. Yeah, and. Even I remember one time Larry Wax even made a comment about if we play Blue on Black one more fucking time, I am going to kill myself. Because it was like, that fucking song, just like they could not let it go. And I was like, it would probably be an okay song if you just didn't get beaten over the head with it. And even they are even bitching about it. So I don't know how the fuck Steve is still on Journey's dick, honestly. God bless you, Steve, but I'm not with you there, sir. They're a good band, but don't stop believing, though, okay?
I don't think he will. He loves Journey.
Just don't be an a-hole.
Well, I'll tell him this. We've got this band that comes twice a year to the Strand. They're a Journey cover band, which I'm surprised. I'm not going to say anything negative because they're good dudes.
They're actually coming like 3 days after
It's
Thanksgiving.
the day after, yes.
Or,
After Thanksgiving, so it'll be the 20.
It's the 30th.
The 30th,
Yeah.
okay. And they're called Departure.
I looked at your schedule, by the way.
Well, Departure always sells out. People loved it. He ought to come and check them out. They do Steve Perry solo stuff. They do New Journey stuff. They do the whole catalog. They do deep cuts. I'll give them that. It's not just, but they still Don't Stop Believing, Lights. Yeah. The whole.
Got to hit the big ones.
Yeah, But they're good guys and everything. And I've worked a lot of their shows, but at the end of the day, I'm just not a big Journey fan. Unless I'm trying to get laid, then it's like I love this fucking man. This new guy, Parnell, who would have thought? Oh, yeah, I love these guys. I'm a Ross Valerie kind of guy. I wasn't really big when it was Randy Jackson. But, and they're like, wow, you know a lot about it. It's like, oh, I do now. Take off your panties. Let's take a journey.
You love Star Wars, so I have this take on Star Wars, and I put it out on Twitter every now and again. I think the franchise of Star Wars is subpar in consideration to Fast and the Furious. I think Fast and the Furious as a franchise, when it's all said and done, is going to be the better franchise. And actually the new one that I think is going to be better as well, The Purge.
The Purge? Yeah.
I got both of them because The Purge has like 4 movies, now 2 seasons of a TV show.
I was gonna say a TV show. I like
What
The
a
Purge.
Star Wars got.
Oh, come on, man. They got a theme park, so
Just you wait, Purge theme park.
well,
That sounds like a nightmare.
after you leave House of a Thousand Corpses, walk right out into the
Yeah.
Purge theme park.
See if you can make it out.
And then you'll wind up in the hostel,
Rob Zombie's gonna make $1 billion.
It's funny. I watched him on Joe Rogan not too long ago, and he's talking about how when he made House of a Thousand Corpses, that Universal let him shoot on a lot, and they were going to do the movie, and they dropped the movie because it was, they were putting out more family stuff, and they didn't know what to do with House of a Thousand Corpses. It's just a bunch of hillbilly redneck, murderous rednecks,
dark,
killing people and stuff. You got a clown and all this Dr. Satan. So they dropped him, and it wound up getting picked up by Lionsgate a couple years later. But he goes, it was weird. He goes, like 15, 16 years later, I go to this Halloween thing that Universal's putting on, and it's a House of a Thousand Corpses, like haunted house. It's like, they didn't believe in me then, but now that the movie's a cult classic, let's do a Rob Zombie theme, type thing. And it's like, come on, man. It's just funny that he's like, it's just weird, that they hated me and now they love me.
I just don't see why Star Wars is the end-all, be-all for some people.
Well,
and maybe that's why I just like to mess with people, too.
I think Star Wars, people my age, they grew up with it in the 70s, when they saw it first come out, and it was amazing. I mean, nobody had ever really seen anything like that on screen in 77. Maybe, and that audience sure didn't see Stanley Kubrick's 2001, although the effects in that movie for the time was amazing. But Star Wars was really ahead of its time in 1977. And it started out, it was like a classic sort of, almost like a space western. You had,
There's a lot of classic themes in it. Yeah,
right.
yeah.
And you had a lot of different environments. You had droids, you had bad guys. You had, you liked Han Solo, you liked Princess Leia, Luke, Chewie. And then once the build up to Empire Strikes Back, people were even more. So I think, if you're a fan of those first 3, you're kind of just stuck into it. You kind of want to see where the saga goes and things like that. And I'm not saying, like we were talking earlier before the show. Now, I'm not a fan of, if I say I'm a Star Wars fan, there's certain stuff they've done where I'm just like, no, man, that was not good. Those prequels.
Everything outside of the original 3, I usually watch. I'm like, eh.
The one
with the chick was good.
The Rogue One.
I have no idea.
Yeah,
that
the
was
prequel
great.
One. Yeah,
that was
a good
one of my favorite
Yeah.
ones that they've done so far. I didn't really care for Force Awakens. I remember when it first come out.
Which is the drag racing, the one where they're racing.
Oh,
with
the pod races.
That's
That was
the
in.
prequels,
that was like first or second.
That
Revenge of
one
the Sith,
sucked.
yeah, or-
Anakin.
yeah.
Jar Jar Binks one.
Yeah, that's so terrible. But
Yeah.
I get the Jar Jar thing because it's the same basic kind of reboot of Ewoks. You're kind of gearing towards kids, so you're
Yeah,
looking at a whole bunch of audiences that you're trying to capture. You want the young kids, and if you think of it, Jar Jar actually kind of grows up with that audience by the time we get to Sith. So that audience that was young that found him.
I have no clue what you're talking about.
Well,
Keep going though. Tyler probably. You
I'm
know
in
what I'm
on
talking
it.
about?
Yeah, yeah.
Tyler's giving me the nod, like,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm
the
with you,
Sith.
man.
I'm sitting here like, what the?
Yeah,
fuck?
they were trying to, a Jar Jar was for the new generation of kids.
Sure.
And they didn't think that he was so off-putting enough that he would make the old fans angry, but
he did.
He crossed into that. Yeah, for sure.
fast. And I was like, why couldn't Han just shot him first?
Yeah, for sure.
He only needed one pitcher deal. That was it. But, but I do think that, and I don't, and I'm not one of these people who bash Disney for taking over Star Wars because I'm like, they've got the money. They'll still make, it'll still look like if you watched them all together in marathon, that it's still all put together.
Yeah, it still
same.
all looks the same and has the same,
Because
vibe.
if you're a fan of there's always Star Trek fans and Star Wars fans. And, but to me, what I like about Star Wars more than Star Trek was that, Star Trek did something outside of Kirk and Spock and Uhura and Bones. And then they bring in Last Gen with, Picard and everybody. And then it kind of went to, different stories, but it was all different fleets all in that universe. And sometimes they would cross over and not. But Star Wars has built an entire universe on Vader, Skywalker, and it's all been connected.
one family. Yeah.
Right. Kind of like Marvel in a way. It's all kind of interconnected. So
Right.
I think that's why Star Wars will. And I'm going to trump you on the Fast and Furious, but I think Star Wars will still.
Oh, you just wait. Vin Diesel, The Rock, Jason Statham, Paul Walker, R.I.P.
Yeah.
I mean, the list goes on.
I guess
Fast cars, ridiculous. It is so ridiculous.
I'm waiting
I
for the
laugh.
Fast and Furious prequels where they get their learners and they start learning all this stuff, and they're like in school and they're like, it's like a whole it's like a car race with some bullies,
Right.
But it's all more kid geared, it's like it's softer, it's not all rough.
Totally.
And there could be like a whole, they get into college and they drop out of college and it ends where the first Fast and Furious starts off.
Right.
They
Yeah,
try
I've never seen another franchise go from like so realistic in the first one to the most insane stunts. Like everything.
Walking out.
The laws of physics have changed
Yeah,
so much over the franchise.
Driving out of an airplane explosion, a ball of fire. Not an eyebrow is singed.
Right.
They're just walking out of.
Right, and the first movie was like a car going under a semi truck was like the whoa, like and
Who are you guys, the Griswolds? Come on,
yeah, totally.
that's more plausible than that. You
Family
motherfuckers.
vacation. Oh my God.
So I have one question left. I was trying to ask something really random at the end because we haven't gotten there yet. What's one thing you regret buying on the internet? That's a really on the spot question too.
Probably Fleshlight.
What?
Yeah,
I was thinking it might go there.
Fleshlight, because there's nothing. I never make a sexual decision when your pants are around your legs.
Right.
Pulling out your credit card.
That's a good life advice.
Seems like a good idea at the time, and then even when you get it, you're like, "Ooh, Fleshlight!" And the next thing you know,
there you
you're
go.
cleaning one out in the bathroom sink, going, "What am I doing with my life?" So
Yeah, the romance of it goes out the door real
Yeah.
quick.
It's like
when you're
everything was
cleaning
working
it.
great with the right hand. Now I tried to up it, and now I can't even resell this thing on eBay. Use Fleshlight.
Well, people sell used panties, used socks.
Yeah, there's not quite a market for the
Used
flashlight.
flashlight.
Yeah, I haven't seen where that has come into. It's retro.
Yeah, unless you're a huge celebrity or something. Other than that, I don't think anybody.
That's what I
Would you buy a celebrity's flashlight?
No, I wouldn't. But there might be some sicko out there, obviously.
You could market it as like Ron Jeremy's Fleshlight, and that'd probably
That's even worse.
that'd get you banned.
That was the grossest thing I've ever heard in my
You'd
life.
be better off like Jonas Brothers flashlight.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Johnny
yeah.
Depp's Fleshlight.
Yeah,
They're like, what
Brad
the fuck do you
Pitt.
need a Fleshlight for? He's Johnny fucking Depp.
Yeah, he's got human flashlights.
Right.
Leonardo DiCaprio. It's like I saw he left a bar with 31 women. Limousine.
That was the whole
Get
thing.
out of
They're
here.
like,
Right.
break out the Fleshlight, Leo. And he's like, here it goes, ladies. This could be you.
Watch and learn.
Right.
So the last thing actually we have to do, I told everybody last week we'd give away 2 hats.
All right.
If they've made it this far, they'll find out if they've won. How do we want to do this? You're funnier than me, so let's make this happen.
How do they win two?
I have like a bunch of random names. I was thinking one is have Tyler pull a name maybe, and that'd be the first one. But that's boring as shit. Another one I thought was you'd throw them at me, and whichever one landed in my mouth, like you throw all the ball at once. That person wins.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, so we'll have Tyler pull one because then we're gonna ruin the rest.
Okay. Yeah,
Let's throw in
right.
Tyler's. Let's just
Yeah.
take one handful, throw in Tyler's face, and the other handful throw in your face, or you can throw them in my face together, and we'll just see what.
Or have Tyler throw them up. We try and catch it at the same time.
Yeah,
You want to do that?
and then we have to
You-
take a drink afterwards. or
Yeah,
something.
yeah. You catch one, I catch one, and those are the 2 winners.
Or here's what we could do. We could just keep Tyler out of this altogether. He could just
Sounds
watch
good.
this, and we could put him in the hand. We could throw. And if the first one lands in your mouth, hat. First one, I throw
Yeah,
one.
Oh,
yeah,
so
there
we
you
both
go.
Yeah.
pick a random one,
Ping
ball
pong.
it.
Yes.
Yes. Okay,
Yes.
that's a
There you
great.
go, yeah.
All right. All right. You take yours.
All right.
Yeah, take a
I'm
couple
not even
each.
looking at who I'm grabbing.
Yeah.
Nope, me neither.
Take some ammo.
There we go. Oh, I only took one. I'm guessing
Okay,
I'm feeling confident.
Yeah, you
today.
think you're gonna nail it the first
We're gonna
time?
put the hat back up so we can't see it.
It
So.
don't matter anyways.
Okay.
It's a long
All right.
shot.
Would you?
Steve didn't show up, so
You want
Nobody-
to aim for my face first, or?
no, you go for it. Let's see.
All right, here we go.
Ready? One, go.
oh shit, that was your eye. Sorry.
Yep. No, it's all
That
right.
person's out.
All right. So
Grab a
that's-
few, Brett. Yeah.
couple actually this time.
what if we get nothing? That's gonna suck. But
know.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm still putting them off.
Yeah,
to
put
the
them off
side.
to the side.
Yeah, if they don't land on the floor. All right, ready?
here we go.
Let's see if I got this. Oh, yes.
Okay.
First try.
What?
Nice.
Now we got to do a drink. We got to do
Yeah.
All right, do you need
course.
more?
Yeah.
All right, hang on. Let's see first off. Oh, wow, it's a little wet. Not going to say that's what she said.
Beat me to it, Michael Scott.
Kev Davis, 78.
Kev Davis, 78.
Kev Davis, 78.
There you go.
All right.
All right.
Good for you, Kev. You got
See
a
what we
hat.
got.
Yeah, come on. All right.
Wait, we got to do our drink.
Our drink.
Cheers.
All right.
It's maybe the dumbest game I've ever done, but I love it. For a free hat. A free, yeah, come on hat. Damn.
Oh, we
Close.
missed.
All right. You want me to keep throwing?
Yeah, because you
A
got yours.
couple more, yeah. If you can't get it, we'll put it back on him since he's got the golden hand.
Yeah, right? You're going too far to the left.
I'm sorry. Because the
I know.
floor and bullshit.
Feel like a girl.
Going too far.
Not that there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying.
All right, I'm going right in your, I'm going to go right in your mouth on this one. Damn it. I was right under.
Yeah.
That was more to the left.
I was more kind of disturbed.
Your
by that.
left is my right.
When you're like, I'm going right for your mouth. I was like, what did I get in this room for now?
Keep feeding me drinks. Damn it. I
Oh,
gotta go
man.
more damn paper.
Go ahead and open her up, Brett. See if you can't swallow that thing in.
He's got too many of these.
You need a Southside Steve dog. You can just push the button. He just has like a bunch of saying with real ponytail, though.
Yeah, we
real.
could have fooled the audio people that he was on the show.
Oh, shit. That was so close.
That was so
I'll put that
close.
one aside. That was so close.
Yeah, that's what you got to market, Steve, for Christmas. The real plush doll. You just push his hands, his feet.
Oh, damn. That was the microphone.
So many people are getting ripped off from a hat right now. Like, damn it, that could have been me.
I can't tell if it's my fault or your fault.
Oh, and on the chin, it's like a pair of nuts.
This is the dumbest game ever.
Oh, man.
People are downstairs in meetings just listening to us being like, oh, my ball. Yeah,
That hit the mic.
that's some bullshit. I got to get, my arm's getting tired, man. How many have I shot?
I don't know. More than I did.
Oh, that was in and out.
It was in. I would
We'll
say
take it. We'll take it.
Yeah,
Who
take it.
do we got? Who do we got?
It got in the lippage area.
Yeah, we'll
so-
be here all day.
Hey, this will be a throwback to Steve because he used to say, "Are you a lip flipper?" He's Russell Clark at the Russell Clark.
There we go.
So you get you a yeah, come on hat, Russell Clark, because it made it in my mouth.
Nice. Nickelbag Rik, thank you so much for coming on the
man,
show.
it's been
Yeah,
fantastic.
appreciate
man.
it, man.
I'm sorry Steve wasn't here, but you know what? I think
Tell
we
him
may do.
we'll reschedule and we'll come on. and
Yeah, we'll do it again.
yeah, we'll do it
Absolutely.
again. I'm going to be sick though when he's here, so.
Yeah, just you stand us up.
Yeah. I'll be like, I'm going to wait like 5 minutes. I'm going to be by my car hitting a bowl and be like, I can't come in. I smoke salvia instead. Damn it.
Oops, yeah.
Well, make sure everybody comes out to Pranksgiving, the Earl and Rachel Smith Strand Theater on November 27th. That's a Wednesday. Tickets are $10 each. It's 8 comedians. I am hosting. We've got the band The Leftovers playing. I don't know what else to say. Tickets are available at Earl and Rachel or at the earlsmithstrand.org. $10. Hope to see everybody there. Thank you so much for having me on, man. It was fantastic.
Thank you,
Of course,
Rick.
Thank you.
Absolutely.